The Western man thinks of the world as himself. When he hears the word human, the picture in his mind is rarely a melanated woman. The Western man's world is all the Western countries, the global South, the global majority, a shadow in his mind, a well for which to throw infinite pity while he extracts resources from them as if the resources are infinite. He clings to white centricity as if it were a matter of life and death. So fragile the Western man, when confronted with his harm, he flees, a shield of first world problems used as excuses, hoping to garner empathy. Empathy from me who suffered his violent gaze, who battled his dehumanizing conception. He flees with baby soft concern for us who lost our home so he could have his beachfront home, his car-centric concrete paradise, his Wall Street, and his golf course. He worries if he will get into the school he wants, if he will get the girl, if he can afford his dream car, if he could land the corporate job that would make his father proud, if he could get a loan approved for his suburban house. As we wonder when we will become full citizens, as we wonder when the genocide will end, as we wonder when we could find all the bones, as we wonder if our language will die, as we wonder if we could ever stop working 12-hour shifts, as we wonder if Section 8 housing is available, as we wonder if we'll ever have time to heal the generational trauma we go through, all of this, all for him to prosper. I exist because my great-great-great-grandma cleaned for white folks and she was raped. The tragic mulattoes get represented as wanting to be white, more than being bastard children, more than wishing they were more black, more than shame and grief. All for him to get blackout drunk on a Friday night with his frat bros. All for him to yell at his wife when the patriarchy really starts to stress him out. All for him to snort lines on lunch breaks and get hair grease on his expensive shirt. All for him to curse the traffic and worry about the stability of democracy. All for him to be depressed and unsatisfied. He destroyed an imperfect paradise just to build himself a spacious prison with new names and new lines on this land's millions called something else. He cut down the forest just to wipe his ass. He turned entire villages into slaves just to scroll through his iPhone, just to sip his tea, just to wear his cotton shirt. He calls some of us primitive, illiterate, while he fills shelves upon shelves with all of his intelligence, libraries upon libraries of books boasting his supposed wisdom as he destroys our planet, and he shoves us into half-assed paragraphs in his history books. Who will clean up the mess? He smiles. He pretends to care. He gets tax write-offs for his electric car, but he ain't never gonna give a damn about the people in the Congo as their environment gets destroyed. They rarely ever enter the discussion of ecological repair. He goes on looking at himself in the mirror every morning, straightening his tie, feeling insecure about his damn hair while 5 genocides are going on, one explicitly by his tax dollar, a few others fueling his economy, feeling his covert supremacy, the respect he gets when he walks in a room, even though he thinks of himself as an unprejudiced person, fueling his security, fueling the markets he wants to work in, fueling his grand illusion that is his life, the American dream. After all our death and suffering and invisibility, the dream he still loathes. Who gonna clean up this mess, Lord? And he has a Black Lives Matter sign in his front yard, and he posts a Martin Luther King quote on his social media on February 1st, and he walks into the room with me and pretends we are equal simply because he is not consciously racist. He forgets about all the destruction I've walked out of. He forgets about the red line neighborhood I grew up in. He forgets why there's economic inequality and how many sacrifices I had to make to afford to be in the same room with him. He forgets about the politicians trying to erase my history even more in 2024. He forgets about the kids that look just like me toiling in death overseas, and he thinks he has nothing to do with it. I feel guilty that I cannot pull up my race by the bootstraps. For me, it's a matter of life or death. He feels offended if I refuse to pretend we're in a kumbaya melting pot with liberty and justice for all. If I refuse to give him brownie points for the bare minimum acknowledgement. If I refuse to withhold my scathing critiques of the life and death that he created on this land. He ain't never gonna clean up this mess. Damn shame. The shoulders that he stands on, unmarked graves that kiss his feet on his morning jog, the unpaid labor, not of slaves, not of enslaved people, not of black bodies, but black humans, black life, children just like little white children crying because mommy won't let them play on the iPad anymore. Children just like little white children, but brown and overseas with bloody fingers and sweatshops making the white man's damn shitty ass cheap clothes. Children just like the little white children, but brown and overseas looking for their classmates under rubble, standing up to guards in concentration camps, climbing out of collapsing tunnels, barefoot in ragged clothes with pickaxes praying to find diamonds. Children with no iPad to play on, no abundant cupboard, no backyard to run around in. Children sheathed in white cloth, children playing in the liminal space between life and death, all for the sake of his toys. And ain't none of it his responsibility. He could pay for it with his taxes. He could wear it on his back. He could drive it around and hold it to the side of his face. He could walk all over the ancestors' graves. But ain't none of it his fault. My great-grandma used to clean for white people. 3 generations later, it's still a lot for us to clean up after. How many more generations will we clean? Will we get watered down? I'm skipping the stages of grief. I can't ignore it any longer. I'm not allowed to be angry. I ain't gonna bargain with him because he always breaks the treaties. I ain't got no more tears. I accept it. I will rock the big baby white man into enlightenment and burp him after he's gorged himself in frivolous things and shush his crying when he longs for the things he cannot have, when he longs to feel human in the patriarchy. I know, I'll say, and I'll show him what it really means to be human, and I'll shout the names of my beloved ancestors on the mountaintop and learn their histories diligently and learn my mother tongues and clothe myself in dignity and mark my abundance by the food that grows on my land and make people feel safe to wonder, to worry, to weep, to dream. It's about time he get up off them shoulders. I will not allow him to crush the bodies of my beloved friends, not foreigners, not primitive, not terrorists, not workers, my fellow humans who share 98% of our DNA with rich and vibrant cultures that deserve to keep existing. I will not let them remain invisible. I will wear their faces on my soul and sing their songs when I walk into a room with him until I can sing free at last. And I'll show him what it really means to be human, as I fight against genocide as if it is a matter of life or death.